Alrighty, folks, if you're on the path to becoming a millionaire, you might be thinking about creating generational wealth. Dion, is your goal to build generational wealth?
I did a video with Brick by Brick Wealth, right, Casey, and we took opposing sides to make it more of a debate than a conversation. Most people focus on generational wealth. I mean, if you Google it, it's one of the higher Googled terms in the financial freedom realm, like financial independence retire early community. It's often how do you leave it to your kids? How do you structure your trust to protect them from taxes? And I think it's a mistake. I tend to irritate people, but I think creating generational wealth is it's a multi-layered mistake. First, how much time do you have to dedicate toward reaching financial freedom? And how many years do you put into reaching financial freedom where you are growing a better retirement, but you're actually giving up one of your go-go years for a better slow go or no-go year? But you're making your 70s and 80s better by losing a time in your 40s or 50s. Same thing with your kids, right? If you're working to grow generational wealth and you could retire early and you can experience more time with your kids, but instead of doing that, you focus on more work so that your kids will have more when you leave. They won't remember the inheritance. They'll remember the overtime. So generational wealth does a couple things. One, it takes away your time that you would have reached financial freedom sooner to be there for your kids more. But two, I think it takes away a kid's motivation. Now,
Yeah.
the really cool thing is I don't talk about this in my short-term content. I talk about it in my long-term because my kids don't have the attention span to watch my long-term form stuff. And I don't know that they watch your content yet, but they will someday. And when they do, I'll be fine with it. They're going to inherit millions as a
Mhm.
byproduct of reaching financial freedom, right? I don't want them to know that. I don't want them to think I have a niece and a nephew. Right? My brother reached financial freedom with 10 paid off rentals, and both of them, when they were in their 20s and 30s, sat back and said, I don't have to do anything. I mean, if I just barely get a job that'll pay for my bills, I'm a success because when he passes away, I'm going to have 5 paid off properties. Absolutely stole their motivation. And then my brother did the smart thing of saying, I don't like who you're dating. I'm going to leave it all to your sibling, or I'm going to marry somebody when I'm 70 and they're going to get everything. So all of the sudden in their 30s now, my niece and nephew were like, oh, well, how do we buy rentals? And one of them actually has one now. We did a live in, I want to call it a burr because he did everything but the refinance and then moved and is renting it out. So the motivation to do something came when they thought, maybe I'm not going to get generational wealth.
Yeah, this is such an interesting concept because again, something that Olivia and I are fortunate enough to do now is we can go on some pretty ridiculously expensive vacations, a month in Asia, 3 weeks in Europe, 5, 6 star stuff. And when you do that, in your 50s, early 50s, you bump into a lot of 80-year-olds because, you know, they're they have the funds to do these things and they're short on time, right? I think it's not unfair to say that an 80-year-old has less lifespan than a 50-year-old. It should be obvious. But what was really interesting when you were talking about this is the regret that I hear from these folks who are likely worth 50 to $100 million. And you put it so well. I mean, the logo or no-go years, right? Many of them talked about how, I don't know, impressed, envious. I think envious was the word they used of Olivia and I going on, a balled out, just a crazy vacation in our 50s. Because what they did is they just kept working and grinding and I don't know, taking 20 million and making it 80 million. 20 million is a big number. You can do a lot of stuff. And, you know, maybe I'm just thinking back to that Europe trip that we just came back from. I would guess more than 80% of the folks we talked to would admit that that last decade where they went from 20 to 40 million wasn't worth it. They didn't need it. They can't spend it now. And as I've talked about a lot, they can't even enjoy what they have. Think about this. Go on a vacation that costs you 25 to 30 grand. And all you could do is stay on the boat or maybe go walk for half an hour. That's that's not a very good return on spending. It's sad. in my
I
opinion.
saw that play out in real time. So a month before I retired, one of the motivating factors to actually pulling the plug and walking away from the job that I liked was I took an Alaska cruise, and it was what you said. There were people who couldn't do the ramp, or if they did, they were wheelchaired, and I thoroughly enjoyed whenever the conversation would come up with somebody that I was meeting that, me and my friend that were with me were retired and, both in our early 50s. She's not even 50 yet, but yeah, oh, she's going to kill me. She hears me say
Ah,
that. But
he's not 50 yet, but
no,
you are.
she's not. There you go. Thank you for clarifying. You saved me. But then after retiring, I took the 3 weeks to the Mediterranean. Went there, went to Santorini. So here's a tip: if anybody goes and does the Greek islands and goes
Beautiful.
to all of this, I loved it. Go to Santorini. You have a choice. There's a gondola that goes up that has a 4 to 6 hour wait to get on and get off, and then you have a couple hours at the top because you're not there for long. Or you can walk 700 stairs to the top and dodge the mules that are also going up and down.
So crazy the mule's coming down. Yeah.
It was fun. And what realized is people realized that I was kind of the animal person and I'd grown up around animals. So there was a train of people behind us because I could direct the mules away from murdering us on
Uh,
the way down. But we saw people who couldn't.
yeah.
They were spending $10,000 to $20,000 or whatever their vacation was to look out from their balcony of
Yeah.
the ship and just see rocks and realize you get up to the top, then there's a whole city, and then you take the
Oh, it's
taxi
beautiful.
van things
Yeah.
down to this really cool beaches on the other side where they used to port.
Yep.
Um, you, you won't experience most of that if you work for decades to create generational wealth versus create financial freedom, motivate your kids by living the life they want to live so that they'll take action to get there too. And then, yeah, as a byproduct, they will inherit what's left. And I'm not saying Die with Nothing, which is a great book, but I'm not a fan of the generational wealth thing. And I'm sorry we're on your channel, Zuber, but
Okay.
every time I do this, the comments come of, wow, I love my kids so much. I want to give them, okay, let's quote Bruce Lee. Instead
Yes.
of giving your kids everything you never had, teach them everything you were never taught.
Say that again. I love that Bruce Lee quote.
Instead of giving them your kids everything you never had, teach them everything you were never taught.
Mic drop. Bruce Lee.